All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome
Yeah,
to
happy
another
Friday.
happy Friday. This is another installment of Southern Ballers Show. I have here my LDBC brothers, Brent Foxx and Coach 67 Sports TV. Starting with you, Brent. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully, you two gentlemen are doing well as well, and the rest of the LDD, I'm sorry, the rest of the LDBC family as well.
Coach, my man. How you doing today? Or how was your day? I should say. I think you're having audio issues,
Oh, okay.
but you gonna hop back on. But I just wanted to, it's as you know, Coach. Me and Coach was talking about um, trying to fit in like a show,
Hmm.
prediction show for the Super Bowl, and this is what I'm. This is why I'm doing this show. I wanted to go ahead and do a installment about the show and our predictions on who's gonna win and what's the best team who's gonna win. So we're gonna get this thing started.
Okay.
Coach, welcome back, my brother. Can you hear me?
Hey, Coach, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. Uh oh.
Uh oh. Yeah, something going on with your audio, Coach. We can hear you. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's
Oh,
going in and
okay.
trying again. But anyway, so as you can see in the background, the question is,
Hmm.
of course, everybody asking in YouTube, who will show up in the Super Bowl? Okay, so we're just gonna break down in our opinion, and I just want to put this disclaimer: whoever's watching this, first of all, thank you for watching, tuning in, watching my show. Appreciate it. Trying to build my channel. Um, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Trying to build my channel. At least trying to get 100 subscriptions before the year is over, or even more. But I'm just starting off this YouTube thing. But um, and forgive me if you hear my dog in the background.
I don't know. We
Uh,
all got real life to live, brother. Ain't no judgment here.
I hear you. I hear you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But just want to break down, just who I think is going to win, or who we think is going to win, I should say. Um, so first of all, what we're going to talk about, Brent, is what are your thoughts on the first Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks?
You got me, bro?
Yeah, I hear
Um.
you now, man. There you go.
Hey, I switched phones this time, bro.
Oh, okay.
How
You
y'all
got.
do- how y'all gentlemen doing this Friday, Good Friday evening?
I'm
Doing
blessed,
all right,
man.
sir.
That's a blessing.
I am blessed, bro.
But okay, back to the question about two black quarterbacks actually playing in the Super Bowl. Of course, it's historic. Um, I definitely hope that it is very competitive. But I have some things to say about who may actually show up in the Super Bowl, and it may or may
Okay,
not be
okay.
the quarterback mentioned. I'll just leave a little tidbit and just kind of let that marinate.
Hold your tongue. Hold them horses, Brent.
I got you.
And
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna let
mold
you
to live.
cook
I'm
on
gonna
that.
hold my tongue.
Yes, sir. Coach, what are your thoughts on the first Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, anytime you have a Super Bowl or any Super Bowl with black quarterbacks, that's a blessing. I mean, my first real memory of having a black quarterback in the Super Bowl, even though it wasn't from Southern, it was from Grambling. I remember when I was a kid and Doug Williams played in the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the time, John Elway was a superstar quarterback. And, my dad, even though, he's always been, may he rest in peace, a diehard Southern fan, he really wanted Doug Williams to excel and do well in that particular game because it wasn't only a reflection upon Doug Williams himself, it was a reflection upon basically all HBCUs and all black quarterbacks in general. And the crazy thing about it, Jay Schrader was trash at quarterback. But yet they tried to stick with him. It just worked out to where Jay Schrader got hurt and they had no choice but play Doug Williams. And, Doug Williams had a phenomenal game. Timmy Smith played well. Realistically, that one game, in all actuality, was the highlight of both of their careers. And, ever since that point, I always look forward to having a black quarterback in the Super Bowl, whether it's, Doug Williams or Steve McNair, whoever it is, it's a blessing. Whether, you're having black quarterbacks, black coaches like Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith. Anytime you have black quarterbacks, black coaches playing in the Super Bowl, it's a special occasion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very special occasion. And the other question I want to ask, starting with Brent Foxx, is piggybacking off the original question. There's always been, in previous years, always been black quarterbacks. Of course, we came a long way, but of course, we still have our racial situations going on till this day in 2023. Do you think in the future we will see more of this? We had the Lamar Jacksons. We have, we don't know how long Russell Wilson's going to last. We have Patty Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith. We don't know how long he has left in the tank, but he just came from a immaculate year. I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but we have a whole bunch of black quarterbacks, brothers out here that been balling, and some more coming in the league, in the likes of Anthony Richardson from Florida and C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Yes, so my question is, as other brothers, younger quarterbacks come in this league, are we going to see more of that?
I think so. The way that the game is actually being played is a really big factor in how that actually works out. It's not a league to where there's a pure pocket passer that's actually just going to consistently win you games. Now, it will help. It will help like in 2-minute drives and stuff like that. But again, if you're not mobile in this league because of the athletic abilities of the pass rushers, and now like the interior defensive lineman, you're gonna have to have a guy that can actually move. The days of the statuesque, like my guy Big Ben, that's over. You can't have a guy just standing there and just throwing the pocket.
Byron Leftwich.
Oh yeah, Byron. Oh man, we had him too, but he did pretty good for us too. But yeah, you can't have a guy stand in there and just not be able to move around or create with your legs any longer. The league is much too advanced now to have something like that. I mean, it is a miracle that she B12 was still playing the way that she was, and still for the pretty much most part still being productive. So
Okay, good perspective, good answer, Brent. Coach, what's your feedback on that? What I just asked?
Uh-oh.
I think you're on mute.
Oh yeah, my bad. I muted myself. I think the league is definitely trending in that direction. Whether you're looking at guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, like you said, C.J. Strouder, coming from Ohio State. So you're gonna have to have mobile athletic quarterbacks, like Brent Foxx was saying. I mean, at one point, someone like Aaron Donald would have been a defensive end, maybe a hybrid, or maybe a 3-4 defensive tackle. But now he's an interior defensive line. I mean, guys like him has completely revolutionized the league. You can't have, like he said, just uh, a non-mobile quarterback that's going to literally be a statue in a sitting duck in a pocket, like a Tom Brady, like top type pocket passer. You have to have someone that's mobile and athletic. Maybe like I said, a Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson. You have to have that type of quarterback. I mean, even if you look at someone, like Allen from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, people don't realize how athletic he is for his size. So I mean, you have to have a mobile quarterback. So I think you're gonna see more quarterbacks, uh, black quarterbacks in the league. You know, it's been trending in this direction for a long time, but it's definitely more prevalent with elite talent, along the defensive line for a lot of these teams, especially with, someone along the lines of Aaron Donald, who's not only big and strong, because, at one point, when you had defensive tackles, you had guys like Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams. But those type of guys can't get on the field because it's such a passing league. You need guys like Aaron Donald that has a motor, that's strong, that's athletic, that's a disruptor. So with those type of athletes, especially even at the defensive tackle position, you're gonna need a more mobile, athletic quarterback. Like I said, like the Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, those type of guys. So you're gonna continue to see more mobile, athletic quarterbacks, and you can also continue to see black quarterbacks playing that position.
Awesome, good. I'm loving it, guys. I'm loving it, gentlemen. Great feedback. Um, okay, we're gonna go into it. All right, so we're gonna do one team at a time. Okay, and I'm gonna ask you questions off the original question, the main question. Okay, so you guys get ready. All right. So starting with the Chiefs, and I ain't even put cheese. I put Eagles twice. Let me fix that. Who will be the X factor for the Chiefs? Brent, you go first, sir.
Okay, so the X factor for the Chiefs
And let me be frank.
could
I'm
be
sorry, sir, because it's a open field question. Offensive side of the ball for the Chiefs.
offensive side of the ball. Um, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think that the X factor is going to wind up being really the quarterback. That it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. You
Of
could look
course.
at Travis Kelsey. You could look at even somebody like Juju Smith-Schuster. Um, what's the Robinson? Robinson. I think he still plays for them. No, no,
Oh no,
no.
I
I'm
think we
sorry. I'm
got
sorry.
Robinson.
Scantling.
Yes, Scantley. Yeah,
Scantling.
Valdez
They
Scantley.
were the same number. I'm sorry. Scantling.
No, you good.
He could be an X factor as well. Pacheco, the running back, could be an X factor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go outside the box and think outside the norm. I think Pacheco could be an X factor. Reason why
I
is
like it. I like it.
Philadelphia has a marginally good run stopping defense. If you look at Philadelphia, they can, for the most part, they can stop the run, but they can. I'm sorry, they can't completely shut down the run. They can actually contain it. That's what I wanted to say. They can actually contain the run, but they can't necessarily stop it. Even with them beating Dallas, like back in week 7 or something like that, they contained the running game, but what won them the game was all those turnovers Dallas gave them. If Dallas was able to still run the ball on them, and they were at home, if Dallas was still able to run the ball on them, they would have won the game. So if the Chiefs are able to actually do maybe some West Coast passing and then pop a few runs in there, they could give the Eagles the Eagles could be in a lot of trouble.
Okay. Now the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs.
Okay, the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs, I think is probably going to be one or two people. It's either going to be their inside linebacker, number 32, or it's going to be number 95, Chris Jones. Okay. The reason that I'm actually assigning it to those two is because there's like a lot of read action that the that the Eagles run, excuse me. And basically the two keys on that are going to be the ends and then the linebackers. But Chris Jones is so much of a dominant defensive tackle that I think he disrupts the whole thing. And I also think that the Chiefs linebacker, Lord have mercy, I forget the boy's name, but I think it's Nick something. But he's actually very good at reading plays and then just quickly reacting to them. So if he can actually read those particular read action plays where you're either handing it off to the running back or you pulling it in, if he actually gets into a rhythm of reading those, it's going to be tough for Philadelphia. That's all I got.
Okay, I love it, and of course I'm gonna give my feedback after this. But I love that Pachenko for the offense and defense. Bolton at linebacker, or Chris Jones. I definitely agree because as a linebacker you have to be ready to stop Miles Sanders. Make sure be waiting for him in the hole so he won't spring one. And Chris Jones have to see if they have to. If he can basically wreak havoc on that, I would say they're one of the best offensive line in the league. Am I right about that, gentlemen? Of course, guys can.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think they had like 2 Pro Bowlers.
Yes, Kelsey and I think one of the tackles. But coach for the Chiefs, starting with offense. What is your X factor?
Me, I would say Valdez Scantling, because the reason being, since Clyde Edwards-Helaire hurt, and he's not playing, and since Tyreek Hill is no longer with the Chiefs, he's playing for the Miami Dolphins at this point. Travis Kelce is going to demand a lot of attention.
Yes.
They more than likely they're probably going to double him. I know me personally, if I was the defensive coordinator, I would double him. The Bengals, I think they did that a lot last week. I'm sorry, week before last. So the point I'm trying to make is, if it was me, I would double Travis Kelce, and somebody else would have to beat me. So I think Valdez Scantling, he's that guy, that's really going to need to be able to make a play, because you no longer have Tyreek Hill to take the top off the defense, and you really can't run the ball, nor throw the ball out the backfield of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I think that's the X factor on the offensive end. On the defensive end, I'm definitely going to go with Chris Jones. The reason being is because in a game of this magnitude, both teams are going to pass the ball a lot. The best pass rusher from that particular team is really going to make a difference. I remember Super Bowls like years past. I remember Reggie White had a huge Super Bowl when he was with the Packers against the Patriots. Even when, the Saints played against the Colts in the Super Bowl. Will Smith, he had a decent game. So anytime you have a defensive end that could really wreak havoc and just be a difference maker, even if, you really don't dominate the game, if you could just demand a double team, watching it week in and week out with my Saints, Cam Jordan, he's not the player he once was, but just being able to consistently like just draw a double team. You know, it freed up things for Marcus Davenport, Trey Hendrickson when they still had him. You know, David Ayumada, Carl Granderson, all those defensive linemen. So when you have a elite caliber pass rusher like Chris Jones, you know, it kind of frees everything up for the other defensive linemen up front. So those are my two X factors on both sides of the ball.
Okay.
Spoken
And
like
what
a
was
true coach.
and Chris Jones, you said on the defensive side of the ball?
Yes, sir. Chris Jones.
Okay, everybody's picking that. I'm probably gonna blow your minds with my picks. Okay. Well, not for the offense at least.
Okay, I'm doing a drum roll right now.
All right. So for the offense, of course, Travis Kelce. I'm picking for the X factor for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Reason why, if y'all look at all his games, all the Chiefs games, who's the main offensive weapon that's been eaten all year?
It actually has been more or less Travis Kelce as far as like the targets and everything else.
Exactly. And I know they got Kadarius Toney, Valdez Scantling, and then they got Juju. But Travis been eating teams up through the middle all year. That's he's more than a safety valve for Patty Mahomes. He's that guy. I would even relate him to what Mark Andrews is to Lamar Jackson, but except for, of course, Patty Mahomes got more weapons. But that's who I picked for the offense is Travis Kelce. Now, this is the ones that's gonna blow your mind for the defense. I'm picking Fayetteville State rookie Joshua Williams, cornerback, as my X factor. Let me explain.
He did have a good year. He did have a good year.
He did. Let me explain. I think L'Jarius Sneed is injured. I'm not sure if he's playing or not, but even if he is, Joshua Williams is going to get a lot of playing time, and he's going to be put on a lot of those starting Eagles wide receivers. Now, Joshua Williams will be picked on. So if Joshua Williams can hold strong on Sunday, then the Chiefs will win. If the secondary will hold strong, the Chiefs will win. You hear that from me, folks? Because I'm not worried about the D line. Chris Jones gonna do his thing. He at least should get one sack. Even against that miraculous offensive line for the Eagles. But that secondary is the weakest part of that defense. So Joshua Williams and that other rookie that's been playing okay in the secondary. Ask me his name, but he's also a rookie. If they can play fairly decent and keep those wide receivers from beating them over the top or even scoring, Chiefs will win the ball game.
That's a definitely out on the limb pick there, bro. That's definitely out on the limb.
Yeah, and the reason that me and Coach looking like that is you asking a rookie to cover AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and the boy Watkins that rotates in sometimes. That is a very, very tough assignment, man. Now he has the rookie has had a good year. I will give you that. But you asking somebody to actually just stay on AJ Brown with minimal help, I don't know.
From the Chiefs' defensive standpoint, to me, that's the $1 million question. Who do you put on AJ Brown, and do you double him? Do you bracket coverage him?
Now, and that's what I say. L'Jarius Sneed is out. when he was coming out of Louisiana Tech, I actually wanted my Ravens to get him. I just loved um, what I was looking on the film. He had good hips, good speed, and he has shown that for a couple of years he's played in the NFL for the Chiefs. But I just Googling the information on his injury. He has limited time practice, so
Mhm.
I don't know if he's gonna be a go or he might even play. But based on that injury, they're probably gonna switch him out a lot with Joshua Williams. And
Mm.
the reason why I picked Joshua Williams of my X factor on defense, if he plays well, because everybody know who played football before. The D line, the linebackers have played great. With that secondary, how many times you blitz Brent and you almost need a quarterback and one of your teammates playing secondary didn't cover their guy? What happened?
It's a touchdown or it's a
It's a
huge
touchdown.
game.
It's a huge game. Yes, sir. So everybody that knows football knows this. So that's why I'm picking Joshua Williams as my X factor. I believe the secondary play will win it. Will be I should say will tell the story or give the conclusion on how the Chiefs will win on
Okay.
Sunday. And that's my pick. I knew you guys were gonna look at me crazy, but that's just
I
what
mean,
I
depending on how you scheme it up, it may work. It may work, Jared. It may work depending on how you actually scheme it up. Um, I think, like Coach said, you're gonna have to do some bracketing. You are also gonna have to roll your coverage over
mm-hmm.
to try to help the rookie. Like you can't like if you got let me see if you got maybe, and I'm just throwing a number out here, maybe like a let's say 20 snaps on defense. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I would say at very very minimum, 15 of those snaps need to have some type of coverage, whether it be cover two, whether it be like bracket coverage, whether it even be like maybe even like a robber coverage for maybe some underneath routes that AJ Brown might run.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of coverages need to be there at least 15 out of 20 times for this rookie to actually play successfully. If you're asking this rookie to play, I'll even go half and half. If you ask this rookie to do 10 snaps by himself and then 10 snaps with help, maybe, and this is me being generous. Like 4 out of those 10 snaps, he may be in trouble. But
That's
yeah,
my point. That's
you
my
gotta
point.
yeah you gotta make sure you gotta make sure you get him some help. You do not want to put a rookie on AJ Brown or Devontae Smith for that matter, because he is he
But
is he is scary
look,
fast, and
so what you
he runs routes very well too.
he does he reminds you of a little bit faster Anquan Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so would you put and we're gonna move on to the Eagles, but this got me fascinated. So would you chance putting on a Janarius Sneed or L'Jarius Sneed, excuse me, who's
Mm-hmm.
recovering from a knee injury? Would you put him on a AJ Brown?
Not for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, that's my point. So
Yeah.
that young secondary, there's no way of hiding that. At some point, the young secondary is gonna have to play and make sure they keep don't have anything let anything give up anything behind them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking more or less the factor of maybe Snead not being in at all. If
Oh,
we're
okay.
factoring in Snead, then yes, you put Snead in on 3rd and 6 or more every time. And you still, try to make sure that you have enough coverage, or have your coverage schemed up rather to try to help Snead out anyway. But yeah, critical downs, yeah, you putting Snead in there. You don't want to actually just, you do want to trust all of your players to a certain extent, but you don't want to put too much on them pressure wise, especially if they're a rookie. You want to make sure that the game actually comes to them and they're actually comfortable in the role that they're in. If you put them in like a critical situation too many times, they feel, and this is just me in a player's mindset, they feel like they basically gotta do too much. Okay. So you don't want to have that type of mindset going on. Like, oh yeah, if if he does this, then I'm gonna do this. And if he tries to double move me, I'm gonna just get on top of him and I'm gonna try to push him off the sideline and I'm gonna save the day. Well, your coverage may not ask you your coverage may not ask you to do that, but you feel obligated to do it because you want to show everybody that you could cover this guy. Players have pride like that, man. It's like, well, look, I got him. He in my face, I got him. Okay, well, that's not what the cover said. Okay, you playing cloud coverage, you trying to play man on man. Don't do that. You going you gonna wind up giving something else to somebody that's crossing you. So yeah, you definitely don't want you don't want to expose the rookies too much to situations like that. You just kind of want to ease them in, and then once they get comfortable, then at that point you could trust them a little bit more. It's just like anything else in life. Sorry for being long-winded.
No, I like it. So
No, you're good, bro. But one other thing you have to factor in too, the fact that Jalen Hurts is such a dual threat quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's right from the standpoint,
mm,
hey, you really got to take away AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but at the same token, Jalen Hurts with a lot of read action, zone read type of action. And not only that, even if he does drop back the pass, he could take off and run at any point. You're gonna kind of
Mm-hmm.
have to factor that in. So if the Eagles have a real balanced attack from both a running and passing standpoint, you kind of put those defensive backs in a vulnerable position. Hey, I know I have coverage responsibilities first, but at some point they still might have to make a play and get out and tackle Jalen Hurts. So, it's a double-edged sword in that particular instance.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Coach.
yeah, like Brent said, spoken from a true coach. But I'm just looking at this roster, man. I mean, again, man, this secondary for the Chiefs is very young, very young. Um, just not the safety. We're not going to talk about Juan Thornhill or Justin Reed. Just the cornerbacks now. Look, listen. Trent McDuffie, 5'11", 193 from Washington, rookie. Joshua Williams, 6'3", 193 pounds, Fayetteville State University. And then the other rookie, Jalen Watson, 6'2", 197, Washington State. So these boys, minus Trent McDuffie, which he's the more athletic corner that can run. But Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson, they some big corners that
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that the defensive coordinator at some point of the game will want to match against AJ Brown, which is a big wide receiver. So eventually you're going to have to match them big corners against the big wide receiver. But like you said, Brent, that experience that AJ Brown has, that might backfire. And that's why I picked Joshua Williams as an X factor, good or bad. If he come to play, he played well against those that monster they got at wide receiver in the other wide receiving core, like Quan Watkins, and I know I'm missing somebody else. Then they have a chance. They have a chance. They definitely, of course, they have a chance, but you know what I mean. But we can talk about this all day. Um, we're gonna move on to the Eagles.
Okay.
So Brent, all opposite side of the ball, who will be the X factor for the Eagles on Sunday? Your guess.
Okay, the X factor for the Eagles, and Coach mentioned this before, Miles Sanders. Miles
Love it.
has actually had over 1,000 yard season. He's been very productive catching the ball out of the backfield as well too. Um, he is very shifty, and a lot of things that people don't really look at is how he's able to break tackles while running. Like sometimes it seems like those tackles just slide right off of him. There's some instances to where he just throws people off of him. There have been also some instances where he's looked like LaShawn McCoy and actually just took somebody out their cleats. So I think that Miles Sanders is definitely an X factor. The obvious answer about who a factor could be is obviously Jalen Hurts. It could obviously be also AJ Brown. But yeah, my X factor, someone who can actually just take over the game, would be somebody like Miles Sanders.
Love it. Love it. Miles Sanders, he's been tearing people up all year. So I love it. I love it. Okay, defense side of the ball, Brent.
Defensive side of the ball. I actually thought about some guys in the secondary, like Darius Slay or someone like that. But going back to the defensive front, I think that Fletcher Cox could be an X factor. Um, I think that the Chiefs will try to establish a running game. I also believe that it's still at the end of the day runs through Patrick Mahomes. Now the Chiefs' offensive line, they've been like interchanging linemen all season. Okay, and if you got a guy like Fletcher Cox that can actually clog up things and disrupt, more importantly, I think that is a huge factor in how plays are actually run. So, while I had Pacheco on the Chiefs side of things, I got Fletcher Cox on that other side, maybe disrupting some plays and wreaking havoc.
I love it. He going with the D line. Okay. Love it. Love it. All right, coach. Offense side of the ball for X Factor.
All right, X factor on the offense side of the ball for the Eagles. I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith. The reason being,
Mm,
uh, I'm almost certain, like Brent Foxx said, the Eagles are gonna try to establish a running game with Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. And from a receiving perspective, AJ Brown is probably gonna be their primary target, primary weapon. So if you try to take away him, even though, like you said, their secondary is young, I'm almost thinking AJ Brown may have his weight with them, despite whether they play, cover two, cover three, whatever they try to play. I mean, you know, pretty much there's nothing they could throw at AJ Brown that he hasn't seen as a veteran receiver. So even if they make a concerted effort to take him away, bracket him, whatever type of coverage they play on him, Devontae Smith, him being able to take the top off the defense, I think he's my X factor from the offensive standpoint. From the defensive standpoint, I know it might sound like a bit of a homer pick, but I'm gonna go with C.J. Gardner Johnson.
I knew it.
The reason being, bro, even when he didn't play well for the Saints, he just gave the Saints defense so much confidence and so much swagger and his versatility. Him being able to play in the slot, him being able to play on the outside, him being able to play opposing tight ends. I'm almost certain he's gonna see a lot of Travis Kelce. And it's difficult to double a tight end, especially when you don't flex him out wide, when you put him in the middle of the field. It's difficult to double a tight end that's in the middle of the field. So at some point he's gonna play Travis Kelce mano a mano in many instances on Sunday. So he's gonna have to be an X factor from the standpoint of, whether they ask him to play in the slot certain points. He's excellent in run support, because that's his primary thing in terms of, really kind of being like a glorified linebacker, but his versatility, him, being able to be an extra safety in the box, that eighth man in the box, or him being able to play in the slot, him being able to play on the outside, him being able to play opposing player, teams tight end. I mean, because at one point, he, when he was with the Saints, they would ask him to, whatever tight end they played, hey, he would have to stick them. And I'm thinking, they're gonna ask him to do a lot, and just the versatility alone is something that's gonna be paramount in a game of this magnitude.
Okay.
Yeah, and he could
Okay,
make
I
the
love it.
offensive guys actually get personal fouls on themselves too, because that boy talk.
Oh,
Yes.
I mean,
I'm
he
not gonna
talk
lie.
most a little bit.
When he was with the Saints in training camp alone, he got so many fights. Michael Thomas punched him in the face.
Yeah.
Multiple offensive players. He had a little small spat with Alvin Kamara. So he's an agitator. And of course, we talked about this recently. When the Saints played against the Bears, that fight, it had to go viral.
Oh yeah.
So, and of course, Jack Rabbit jumped in and tried to save him. So, he's an agitator. But, when you playing against him, you hate him. But when he's on your side, you love him. So he's one of those type of players.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah, Cortland Finnegan. I remember he got his ass whooped by Andre Johnson. But my X factor for the Eagles offense, of course, I know everybody gonna be like, duh, Jalen Hurts. So, like, I picked the Joshua Williams, which he represents that young secondary. Jalen Hurts has the opportunity to exploit that. So that's why I'm picking Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
To get the ball to Dallas Goedert, to get him to Quan Watkins, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. So, and I believe that all O-line will give them enough time, him enough time to try to get the ball where it's supposed to be. Now, of course, I could be wrong. Chris Jones could go wild and just own that offensive line, which will be a task because that offensive line been balling all year. But we will see. So my pick for the offense is Jalen Hurts. Now for defense, I'm gonna pick the other defensive lineman, Javon Hargrave. Javon Hargrave has had one of the best seasons he's had in the NFL. I mean, like, he had Pro Bowl numbers for a he's really a nose guard, but he's so athletic. He's played defensive tackle as well. So when the Eagles switched him to defensive tackle, he's got 11 sacks. So, but me being Brent, him being a Pittsburgh Steeler,
Yeah.
you can attest to this. Sometimes he'll get washed out to play, and he'll disappear.
Yeah, there are times where that actually happens, but more often than not, the nickname that we had for him, was Jay Weeble or Jay Wobble. I mean, you could weeble him, you could wobble him, but he was just never really out of it. But there were some times where, yeah, he did get washed away. But more likely than not, he would still find some way to actually disrupt the play. Like, you could push him around, or you think that you could actually move him around, and then all of a sudden he's actually right there at your running back, or he's right there nipping at your quarterback's heels, or messing up a reverse or something like that. Like, he's always in there somewhere wreaking havoc. Now I did say Fletcher Cox, but yeah, Jay Hargrave is definitely a problem.
Yes, he definitely needs. If the Javon Hargrove of this year shows up, and then Fletcher Cox turns on as well. Oh man, that 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 D line will be a problem for the Chiefs. Absolutely. But yeah, that was my pick for defensive X factor, Javon Hargrove,
Okay.
former South Carolina State Bulldog. Now,
Oh, okay. Yeah, bring it on home then. Okay, I got you.
yeah, former
Yeah,
HBC, got to represent the HBCU, and
right.
like I did
Yes, sir.
Joshua Williams, former Fayetteville State Bronco. So wrapping it up, fellas, starting with Brent. Who do you think will win and why?
Whew, man. When we had this conversation, I thought it was pretty clear cut. But man, as a week kind of went by and I started really thinking about it, man, it is very difficult. And to be honest with you, man, I almost changed my mind, but I'm gonna still go with what I originally said. I think the Kansas City Chiefs will win. The reason that they will win is because of their defensive play, I believe. I think that the Chiefs, even though their defense doesn't look stronger statistically on paper, I think that there are going to be several variables like Nick Bolton and also Chris Jones that are probably going to disrupt some key plays and have the Chiefs and help the Chiefs actually win the game.
Man, okay. I hear you. I always said that cheese that like I'm talking about the secondary, but their defense has always been bend over break. They'll play real bad and then they'll rise up to the occasion. So you're absolutely right. So coach, who do you think will win this game?
Well, I'm sticking with my original pick. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason being, I think, Pat Mahomes is big time. I think he's going to have an excellent game, even with the high ankle sprain. And even the fact that he doesn't have, Tyreek Hill just to take the top off the defense anymore. I think he's going to make enough plays from the offensive standpoint. And, y'all bring up an excellent point because I remember when my Saints won the Super Bowl, they weren't like a dominant defensive team. They were extremely explosive from the offensive side of the ball. But the fact that they had Darren Sharper on the back end making so many plays in terms of, getting so many takeaways and
Yeah, I ain't just have Darren Sharper. Yeah, I had Darren Sharper and Malcolm Jenkins. Those the
on that defense, bro, Sharper was the man.
he was, but Malcolm Jenkins, like just having those two type safeties with that football IQ back there,
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Malcolm Jenkins came to that next year. I think they drafted him the next year, if I'm not mistaken. But Sharp was the man on that defense.
Really?
It was more Greg Williams. His blitzing scheme. I mean, his blitzing scheme was so innovative at the time. That's where Bounty Gate really kind of stemmed from, like all the blitzing that he did. But, that Saints defensive line, I mean, with Will Smith, they weren't like super dominant, but they got enough sacks, and they had like a lot of versatility. You had Jonathan Vilma.
Yeah.
You had Scott.
And coach, he was on that squad.
Yeah, you had Scott Fujita.
He Malcolm Jenkins was on that squad that won the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, but the thing about it, bro, he was young in the game. He really wasn't a factor at that point. It was Darren Sharp on the back end, having those two.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
With Jonathan Vilma and Scott Shanley wasn't as much of a factor, but Scott Fujita. But more than anything, like y'all just said about the Chiefs, the Saints defense was, their offense was explosive, but their defense was bend but don't break. And the takeaways, because even in the Super Bowl, like really to ice the game, Tracy Porter got a pick six on Peyton Manning. So
yep. And Tracy Porter wasn't like example is one of the you can say one of the type cornerbacks that the Chiefs have right now. You can relate to, not a world beater, but they come up to play. But go ahead, Coach.
I'm not gonna lie, he had a heck of a run that year. I mean, that really was his career year from a playing standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think just from an offensive standpoint, the Chiefs really are built the way that same Saints team was. They're explosive offensively. You know, even though he don't have as many weapons as Breeze had at the time. But, you know, Mahomes is big time the way Breeze was. And more than anything, you know, having a defensive end like Jones, he kind of reminds me of Will Smith, except he's more dominant what Will Smith was at the point. But more than anything, it would bend but don't break. I mean, I'm almost certain I'm expecting a great game. I'm thinking, you know, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and the Eagles offense, you know, they're going to put up numbers. But I think at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is going to make more plays than Jalen Hurts. And I think the Chiefs defense is going to make enough plays just to kind of allow them to edge the Eagles out. So I'm expecting a close game, but I expect the Chiefs to pull it out. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the MVP at the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, you know, I have to ruffle the feathers a little bit. Both of y'all picked the Chiefs. I'm going with the Eagles. Here's my reason. I believe they have a solid enough defense and solid enough offense to withstand that wonderful offensive attack for the Chiefs. And because the Chiefs, so like you said, Brent Foxx, on paper they seem very unbalanced on defense, but I think against this Eagle squad, them being not having the talent on defense, is going to bite them on. It's going to shoot them in the foot. It's going to shoot them in the foot. I think that and not that they're talented like we just said using the 2009 New Orleans Saints as example. Or was it 2010?
It was 9 going into 10. So
yeah, it was 9 going into 10.
Just like now,
Okay.
They actually winning the Super Bowl in 23.
Yeah.
Starting 22. That's how it was. It was
Right.
9.
Yeah.
Right. So that type of defense, they wasn't world beaters and everything, but
but they got a lot of takeaways there.
They got a lot of takeaways. But I believe
they couldn't stop the run though. But they got a lot of takeaways.
Right. And I hear you, but I believe with this type of Eagles offense, I believe they match up bad against this Eagles offense. I believe they match up horribly, and I believe they will hang with the Eagles. And then at some point, the Eagles will insert their dominance, and the Eagles will be victorious and be Super Bowl champions. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I could be wrong, just the fun of it. So if you're watching this, listening to this, or he don't know he talking about, he don't know football, hey, get off yourself. This is why we do this. We just having fun. I love to eat crow. It's okay. That's what this show about. We just 3 brothers are shooting the breeze. But any further feedback, anything you want to say, Brent, before I wrap everything up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much again for having me on. I really appreciate you being so generous and inviting me on your show, man. It means the world to me when you actually just extend the invitation for me to actually be on here, kind of express myself, and then be able to shoot the breeze with you too, man. I've actually learned a lot from Coach in our conversation. And Jared 011 Green, you know you my brother from another mother. I definitely appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you on this run. I appreciate it, man. I'm trying this YouTube thing out just for fun, man. Me and Coach 67 Sports TV. All 3 of us hooked up on the LDBC meet and greet. So, shout out to 78 Sports and all the LDBC brothers and sisters. But I appreciate. I'm glad to have you, man, with your uh football intelligence. And plus you being a Texas boy, I know you know a lot of football. You playing in that area. Um, but coach, what do you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, first of all, we appreciate you having Brent Foxx, bro. We appreciate you so much. Not just you, but Jay Good, our entire LDBC family. We want to give a major shout out to 78. Uh, my brother Jared and I were talking earlier. Just him putting together, such, amazing, group, with unity and togetherness. We appreciate 7-8 to the highest. We just appreciate, the entire LDBC family. Uh, check out my channel, Coast 67 Sports TV. I got some content over there. I had my own Super Bowl prediction. It wasn't as depth and as detailed as this particular show is, because we specialize in just on the Super Bowl with this show. So I did a little, quick prediction, recap of the championship game prediction. I also talked about my Saints and how they flirting with Derek Carr at this point. I did some other videos. The trade with Kyrie Irving, trade with Kevin Durant. So I got
Yeah,
a
that was
variety
some
of different.
crazy trades, man.
Yeah. So I have a variety of different sports content on my channel. Got some boxing stuff. I have a boxing video I'm gonna drop probably next 2 days. Talking about former heavyweight contender Ike Abuche. So I got a lot of content that's coming on my channel. So y'all check me out. Also shout out to the amazing LDBC. Shout out to Brent Foxx, Jay Good. Our entire LDBC family.
Yeah, shout out that brother Jay Good, HBCU extraordinaire. Um, but yeah, I love doing this show. I had to get a show in because I know everybody's schedule. We all grown, working, got families. You know what I mean. So just had to get in a little show. I'll try to get a show with Jay Good and brother Coach. If their schedules are right. If not, I'll reschedule. But we will get a show in. But you guys, thank you, whoever's listening, whoever's staying tuned. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Um, y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Stay safe, especially in this on this Super Bowl weekend. And shout out to the mighty LDBC. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
All right, love you too, man.